Hello everyone, and welcome to this online ethical hacking course. Now, before we begin, I would like to talk about a few things that you might be interested in, such as legal side of using the things that you will learn in this course, and also you are probably wondering what could possibly make this course different from any other course you attended online or any other course you watched on YouTube, Udemy, or basically anywhere else. So let me first answer the second question. Well, there is a difference between this course and other courses that you probably watched. First of all, I decided to split this course in the three sections, the beginner section, the intermediate section, and the advanced section. Now, the thing that differs this course from other courses is the advanced section. Basically, what we will be doing in the advanced section is making our own tools. We will be coding our own advanced tools. And not the basic kind of tools. Most likely we will be coding our own Metasploit framework, for example. Now, for those of you who know that is, it basically means we will be coding our own command and control center that can receive many connections from other PCs, not just one. We'll be coding in the advanced reverse shell, backdoor, keyloggers, and many other tools used by ethical hackers. Now, if you don't know what these tools do yet, we will be covering all of those in the beginner and in the intermediate section, but we will be covering the tools from other people, and in the advanced section, we will be making the same tools just by ourselves. Now, the programming languages that we will be using will be Python and C, because I find those programming languages mostly used by ethical hackers. C is a low-level language. Basically, it is harder than Python, and things that you can do in Python in like 3 lines takes you about 20 lines in C. But we will be covering both of those programming languages. Python so you can make things faster, and C so you can understand things better. We'll also be covering in the advanced section a little bit of assembly language, which we will be using for our exploit development part. Now, for you that are wondering what we will be doing in the beginner section, we'll be covering the installation of VirtualBox and Kali Linux. VirtualBox is basically a program that allows us to make our own virtual machine. We use virtual machine so we don't crash anything in our main machine. If we make a mistake or if we delete a file we shouldn't delete, it will basically just stay on the virtual machine, and if it doesn't work anymore, we can just delete it and start over again. As far as the Kali Linux, the Kali Linux is a distribution, basically an operating system that is used for ethical hacking and penetration testing. Now, you might be asking, why is it used for that? Well, basically, it comes pre-installed with some of the most known tools used for ethical hacking. So, it comes with a bunch of programs that we will use and cover in the next tutorials. In the intermediate section, however, we will be covering those tools that are pre-built into Kali Linux, and also we will be covering some of the tools that are not built into the Kali Linux. We will be downloading those tools from online GitHub repository from other people who made them. And as I said, later in the advanced course, we will be making our own tools. Now, there is also one more important thing I should mention, which is the legal use of these methods that you will learn in this course. You should not be using these methods on any device or website you do not own, or on any device or website you do not have permission to use. It can get you into some serious trouble and possibly a jail time if you make a big mistake. So please do not test any of these methods on devices you do not own. We can make all of the things we need in our virtual environment, and we can do our attacks from there. Now that's about it. I hope you will enjoy this course, and I hope I see you in the next lecture where we will be downloading VirtualBox and Kali Linux. Hope I see you there, and take care. Welcome back everybody, and this is our first lecture where we will be downloading our things that we need in order to start hacking. So basically, as I said in the previous video, the introduction video, we will be needing two things. One is VirtualBox program, and the second one is Kali Linux distribution. So here I am on both of these websites, as you can see. So just open up your Google Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer, whatever search engine you are using, and type in the search bar VirtualBox. It should lead you to this page where you just click on the first link, which is virtualbox.org, and basically, as you can see right here, we have this green button that says download VirtualBox 6.0. Now in the time of recording this, the version is currently, as you can see, 6.0, but when you will be watching this, it might be a higher version, depending whether they upgrade the version or not. So just click here on the download VirtualBox 6.0, and it will lead us to this site where we can choose our platform. As you can see, right now I am running this on Windows 10. So basically here I will click on the Windows hosts, since my operating system is Windows 10. If you're running this on Linux, which I honestly doubt, you can click here on the Linux distributions. Here you also have OS X hosts and Solaris hosts. But since I'm on a Windows 10 machine, I will be clicking on Windows hosts. And as you can see, it started downloading the setup program for the VirtualBox. It is 210 megabytes large, and it will take me some time because my internet is not that fast. It is around 1 megabyte per second, so this will take around 3 minutes. Now while this is downloading, we will go to the Kali Linux page, which is simply just type in the search box Kali Linux. I mistyped here, it should be Kali Linux. Here we go, and it will lead you to this first link right here, which is Kali Linux Penetration Testing and Ethical Hacking Linux Distribution. Here we can see the developer, which is Offensive Security. Initial release was on 13 March 2013, which was 5 years ago. So we just click on the first link, and it will lead us to the official site of Kali Linux. Now, what we want to do, we want to download the distribution, so we just go here on Downloads, download Kali Linux, and basically it will give us a bunch of these options, bunch of these different versions of Kali Linux. Now, the two versions that you will be interested in are these two. Oops, I selected more than one. These two, basically Kali Linux 64-bit and Kali Linux 32-bit. Now my machine is a 64-bit machine, so I'll be downloading the 64-bit Kali Linux, but if you're running this on a 32-bit machine, you can download the Kali Linux 32-bit version. They're basically both around the same size. The 32-bit is a little bit larger, I don't know why, but both are around 3 gigabytes large. The current version of the Kali Linux is 2018.4, so as I said, in the time of you watching this, it might be a higher version. So we will just click here on HTTP. You can download over torrent if you want to, but I will download through my browser. And I'll just click here and it should start the download for me. Now, as I said, my internet is really slow, so this will take around 6 hours for me. So we won't be waiting that much. So I will just cut the tutorial until this download finishes, and we can continue from there. And as you can see right here, we got the two files that we need, the VirtualBox setup program and the Kali Linux ISO file, which is our operating system that we will install. So first of all, we will install the VirtualBox. So just double click on the file that you downloaded, and it should start up a welcome box first. Here we go. It says welcome to the Oracle VM VirtualBox. Basically this is just a welcome message for you. We will just click next right here, and it will lead us to this setup window. Now if you want to, you can change here things, but I really don't like to mess with this stuff. It's basically already configured as you will need it, so I won't change here anything. I will just go on to next. Here on this window you can just check if you want to make a desktop shortcut or if you want to create start menu entries. Basically I just leave all of these checked. If you do not want desktop shortcut, just uncheck it, simple as that, and we can proceed to the next step. Now this is a warning that pops up every time you install the VirtualBox. It basically says that while installing you might be disconnected from the internet, which hasn't happened to me, and I installed this like a lot of times, so it might happen to you, so if you're running this, or if you're running anything important in the background over the internet, you might want to wait until that download or anything you're doing finishes before you press yes right here. But since I'm not running anything at the moment, I will just click here yes, and we can click here install to begin the installation. Now this might take a few minutes, around 5 minutes I believe. That's how it took for me last time. So I'll just wait until this finishes and I will get back to you as soon as this is done. So here we are, it finished the installation process of the VirtualBox. Now in the point of installation it asked me for administrative password, so it probably asked you as well. Just type in your administrative password and it will continue the installation. We want to check here the Start Oracle VirtualBox after installation, and we just click here Finish. So right now it should open us up a window with, well, first of all, you won't be having any of these machines right here. These are just my machines that I previously made, even before the installation in the previous version. So you won't be having any of these Kali, Linux, Windows 7 and any of these machines right here. This will all be empty for you, as well as this. Now what we want to do, basically we want to create a new machine together. So just find wherever on your version of VirtualBox is this blue button which says right here new. Click on it and it will open this little window right here where it will ask you for the name and the operating system you want to install. So basically I'll just name this ethical hacking machine. You can change the machine folder if you want to. It is saved right here for me, but we do not want to install the Mac OS, we want to install Linux. And for me it automatically puts Oracle 64-bit, which I want to change since Kali Linux is a Debian based distribution. So I'll just found Debian 64-bit since I installed the Kali Linux 64-bit version. Once you check all of this and once you make sure it is Debian 64-bit, we can continue on the next step. Right here it will ask you for your memory size that you want to use, basically RAM memory, which you want to give to this machine. So for example, I have 8 GB of memory, RAM memory, and I will give around 4 GB for this machine, which means that I will be leaving the rest of the 4 GB for my main machine to run. Now be careful, here you do not want to overgive the RAM memory, because it might make your PC a lot slower and it might make the virtual machine unusable. Basically it might even crash your PC if you just put in all the RAM memory for your VirtualBox machine. If you have around 4 GB of RAM, 2 GB will be more than enough for your virtual machine, but just in case I will put here 4 since I can leave the other 4 for my main machine. So right now I will click on here next after putting 4 GB of RAM, and it will lead us to this window where it will basically ask us for our hard disk. Now it says here the recommended size of the hard disk is 8 GB, but later when it gives us that option we want to change that, we want to increase the size of the hard disk for this virtual machine. Now here it asks us if we want to create a virtual hard disk now or do not add a virtual hard disk. You want to check here the create virtual hard disk and proceed with the installation. So here we click create, hard disk file tab, VirtualBox disk image we want to have checked. So just check the dot here on the VirtualBox disk image and click on the next. And basically here where it asks if you want to make your hard disk dynamically allocated or fixed size, well, it depends on you. Fixed size will already use the entire memory you gave to the hard disk. So basically if I give 20 GB of memory for my hard disk, it will already mark those gigabytes as used. While if you pick dynamically allocated, it will just fill in as the time goes. So basically it won't allocate any memory for your hard disk, it will just dynamically fill in while you install some of the files on your VirtualBox machine. So because fixed size takes a little bit more time to create, we will just click here dynamically allocated but you can put here fixed size, as it will make your machine a little bit faster. But right now I will just click on dynamically allocate and click on next. So here it asks us for the size of our hard disk, which is preset with 8 GB. The recommended size is at least 8 GB. I will put here around 30 GB for this virtual machine, but around 15 or 20 will be more than enough for you, since the files of Linux are not that big and we won't be downloading any major files, possibly around gigabytes large. We will be only downloading around few megabytes big files and so on. So I'll just click here on 30, let's see, 30, oh, we can leave on 29.9 and click on create. Now, as you can see right here, it created the ethical hacking machine for us, or whatever name you put it, and it is currently in the state of powered off. So what we want to do, before powering on the machine, we want to give it the Kali Linux ISO file that we previously installed from the Kali Linux page. We want to plug in our operating system, and how do we do that? Well, basically just click on your machine, which in my case is ethical hacking machine, and go here on settings. It will open up this window with a bunch of different settings, as you can see: general, system, display, storage. Well, basically let's go on through all of these. Here in general is what we set at the beginning, so Linux Debian 64, advanced snapshot folder, and shell clipboard, drag and drop. Well, basically these options right here allow you to drag files from your main machine to your virtual machine. So you can just take here the folder and drag it onto the desktop of your virtual machine, which I will show later. We do not care about this now. Now, disk encryption, we did not put any disk encryption, and we won't put until the advanced section. Basically what disk encryption means is that you will encrypt your entire hard disk of the virtual machine. So even if someone knows your password to log in, it won't be able to unless he knows the password of the encryption. The encryption, I believe, is used with AES at 256 bits, I'm not really sure. And it basically encrypts your entire operating system and all of the files you have on your PC, or in this case on your virtual machine. We will be covering the disk encryption in the advanced section when we will be when we will be installing Kali Linux again, just with the disk encryption enabled. So now we go to the system, and here we can see our base memory, which I set on 4 GB RAM. You might have set on 2 GB, which is also enough. The processor part, now here, if you want, for example, I have 4 cores on my CPU, and here it gave automatically only 1 core to my virtual machine, which is more than enough, but I like to put 2 because it makes it work a little bit faster, and it might help in some use of other programs later on. Down here on the execution cap is the amount of percentage that you want each CPU to use. So basically, if I put here 1 CPU and 53%, it will only use the 53% of one of the core of my quad-core CPU. So I'll just put here 100% and 2 CPUs right here. 1 second. You do not need this much. One core is more than enough for this. But if you want, and if you have more cores to spare, you can set here too. On the display, we don't really care about this, and here on the storage we want to insert our Kali Linux ISO file. Now under the controller IDE we can see the disk with a plus sign. Before you click on that, we want to go to this empty right here and right click, remove attachment. Now it will ask you if we are sure to delete. Yes, we are. Remove. And now under the controller IDE you click on the disk with plus and you click here on choose disk. It will basically open this up and it will ask you to search for the Kali Linux ISO file. We saved it right here. For me it is right here, for you wherever you saved it. So I'll just click on choose this one. And right now we have set our operating system and we are good to go. So for this time, the other settings don't really matter for us. we will be covering after the installation the network part of the settings. But for now we're good to go. So if you have this set right here, just click OK and you are ready to start the machine. Now I will continue the installation of Kali Linux in the next tutorial, so I hope I'll see you there. Bye! Welcome back everybody, and in the last tutorial we installed VirtualBox and we set up all of the settings for our virtual machine. So right now, if you have done all of the things in the previous video and you have double checked these settings right here, we are good to go right now. So just click here on the start machine, make sure you set the right machine. So ethical hacking machine is how I named it. Start, and it will start the process of installation of our Kali Linux right now. Now you might be wondering if this machine will be a little bit slow. Well, basically it depends on your entire PC. If you have a good PC, the virtual machine shouldn't have a problem to run. So as we can see right here, it basically gave us the boot menu of Kali Linux, and there are a bunch of these options which are basically just live version of the Kali Linux. We do not want to boot into the live version since there is no point to do that. Basically the two options that we are interested in are install or graphical install. Now you can pick any of these two you like. I usually go with the install, but graphical install is also the same as the install, just a little bit more prettier. I got used to the install, so I'll just click on here. You can go to the graphical if you want to. I'll just click on the install and we can see, just a second, it takes some time. Now click here on X so this doesn't bother us. Here the first thing that pops up is the language selection. Here you can select any language you pretty much like, depending on wherever you are from. For the purpose of this tutorial I will be selecting English, so just found English and I will click enter right here. Now you might notice that your cursor does not work on the virtual machine for now, because we are in the process of installation of the operating system, so you need to navigate all of these settings with your keyboard, most likely with your arrows. And right now it asks us to select our location. I am from Europe, but I will just select here United States because it doesn't really matter. We can change it later if we want to. For now I'll just leave it on United States. This is the keyboard configuration window. It basically asks you what kind of keyboard you want. Now I didn't even know there are this much configuration for keyboards. I always pick here American English, so I'll do the same right now. You can take any of these if you'd like to. I just don't know what kind of keyboard configuration theirs are, but if you know, you can pick here Belgian or any other, Arabic, Albanian, doesn't really matter, so I'll just pick here American English. And right here it is loading some additional components, as it says right here. Basically this process of installation will take some time. Once it starts installing all of the files it needs, it will pretty much take around 30 to 40 minutes for it to finish, and in the meantime it will ask some of the questions, which I will cover of course, but it actually depends for different virtual machines on how much the process will take. So here it says configuring the network. What it asks here is for the hostname of your machine, which you can name anything you like. I will just name it Kali, and I'll just leave it on Kali since it was already there before I typed it. You can name it basically whatever you want. I'll just click on continue, and in the configuring the domain name I'll just leave it blank because I don't really need it. As you can see right here, it says the domain name is the part of your internet address to the right of your host name. It is often something that ends in .com, .net, .edu or .org. Now if you need it you can put it right here, but I don't need it right now, so I'll just click on continue. And here it will ask us for our root password. Now you might be asking, if you're a beginner, what is root? Well, root is like an administrator for on the Windows machine, just basically with a lot more privilege. With root account you can basically do whatever you want on the machine, and there are no limits. If you would like to delete all the files from the machine, crash the entire computer, you can do that with a simple command in root user. So now in the Kali Linux we'll be almost always using the root user, since, as I said, it has most of the privileges and it can do things some other users can't. So you're just setting password for a root user, and that password can be anything you like. Here I will just type in test1234. You can check into show password in clear if you like to, but just click on the continue right here when it will ask me to reconfirm the password. So I'll just type here again, test1234, and I will go on the continue. This is the clock configuration. Select your time zone as it says right here. You can select any time zone you want. I'll just go with the Eastern. And right now I believe it should start the process of installation. Oh yes, I forgot about this. For this, the partitioning disk. Now this is the part where I talked about before in the settings area, where it asks if you want to encrypt your hard disk or not. Right now, since this is a beginner section, we do not want an encrypted hard disk, but later on I will show you how to install the version with the entire hard disk encrypted. So just go here on guided use entire disk, click enter, and select this to partition and click enter right here. Here it says 32 GB, since last video we selected our hard disk to be 32 GB large. So just click on enter. And basically here it asks if you want to separate the home/home/var and /tmp partitions, but for the new users it is recommended to not do that. So basically we'll just go with all files in one partition. So select that section, select that option, and click enter. And here it just basically re-asks us if we want to undo some of the previous configurations. We do not want. We want to click on finish partitioning and write changes to the disk. And here it will ask us, write the changes to the disk, yes or no. We click here, yes. Right now it started the process of installing the system. This will take around 30 to 40 minutes. Maybe less, maybe more, depending on your computer. So I'll see you when this finishes. Alright, so my process of installation has finished. It took around, I believe, 15 minutes, so it shouldn't take much more for you. And here we have the first question that popped up, which is, do we want to use a network mirror? Here it says a network mirror can be used to supplement the software that is included on the CD-ROM. This may also make newer versions of software available. So here you want to click on yes and proceed to the next question, which it will ask you for the HTTP proxy information. We will just leave it blank for none. We do not care about that at the moment, so just go on continue. And right now it will basically just configure the APT, and I believe the next question will be something about the Grub bootloader or master bootloader, which is basically if it asks us if we have another operating system running on this machine. If we don't, we want to install the master bootloader, and if we do have, well, basically if you do have, which I honestly doubt since we are installing a virtual machine and this is the only operating system on it, you want to be careful if you are booting this onto your main PC, since it might mess up with your Windows 10 if you are dual booting it with Kali Linux, so you want to be careful. But if you are running this as an only operating system, whether it is in the virtual machine or just as a main operating system on your host machine, you want to install Grub. So I believe the question will pop up in a few seconds, so we'll just wait for it a little bit. Here it is installing Grub loader, and I believe in a few seconds, or possibly a minute or two, it will prompt us with the question, the last question I believe. After that, it should finish the process of installation, and it should boot us into our Kali Linux login screen. So we'll just wait on this, and here it is. So basically it says here install the grub bootloader on a hard disk, and we will read this so you understand it a little bit better. It seems that this new installation is the only operating system on this computer, so it should be safe to install the grub bootloader to the master boot record of your first hard drive. So it just says if this is the only operating system, you should be installing the grub bootloader to the master boot record, but be aware if it is not, if you are dual booting it with another system, it might cause some trouble. But since we are not, we will just click on here, yes, we want to install. And here it will ask if we want to enter the device manually. We do not want, so just go down here on /dev/sda and click enter. Right now it should finish the installation, and in a few seconds we should be booting up into our Kali Linux machine. I just noticed that there was another question that popped up, but this is more directed to those who install it on the host machine, who install the Kali Linux on the host machine, because they would probably be installing it from the USB drive, and it basically just says here if the installation is complete and that you can remove the USB drive so you just don't reboot into the installation process again. Since we are on virtual machine and we didn't boot in from the USB drive, we will just click on continue without taking any action, so just click here continue. If you did, however, boot into from the USB drive on your host machine, you want to remove the USB drive and then click on the continue button. So here it is, finishing the installation is on 60%. So after a few minutes our installation has finished and now we are booting in. So while this process is taking, just don't click on anything. Now my installation has finished and now we're booting into our Kali Linux machine. For the first time it might take you a few minutes to boot in. It surely will take for me at least like 5 minutes just to load up the desktop. But don't worry, we will, after the installation is finished, we will install some of the programs we need in order to run this, for example, as a full screen. Because if you can notice, if I spread this window, the machine itself won't go full screen. It will just stay this big and basically will have this white space around it. We will fix that in the next tutorial. For now on, let's just log in. So you might not know this, but it will prompt you with a username first, and it will prompt you for a username for your root account. And on all the Linux distributions, the username for root account is ROOT. So basically it's just root. So just type in root, it will be the same for you, and click on the next, and it will ask you for your password. Now, whatever your password was, and whatever your password is that you typed in the process of installation, just type it again right here. For me it is test234, and just click on the sign in, and it should open up our desktop. Now this might take a few seconds or minutes because it's the first time, so we'll just wait a few seconds. And here it is, it opened up my desktop. Now, as I said, we will be installing the full screen mode for the Kali Linux in the next tutorial. For now on, you can, if you want to experiment with a little bit of this, we will be covering all of these programs right here, and we will be covering all of these commands in the terminal. But more about that later, and in the next section, as I said, we are going to install the full screen, and I hope I see you there. Peace. Welcome back everyone. In this tutorial we will be installing full screen mode on Kali Linux. In previous two tutorials we installed VirtualBox and we booted up our Kali Linux machine. So right now you should be seeing same as I do, this little screen right here. So first thing we want to do, well basically for this tutorial you basically just want to follow up with my commands. We will explain all these commands later on, but for now on, just for the sake of installing the full screen mode, you want to click on this right here, which is the Linux terminal. It should open up the this box, which basically we use to give commands to the operating system, to the machine itself. Now, as you can see, the root here part basically represents the account that we are on. So currently we are on the root account, and the Kali is the host name you gave to this machine. So this part should be the same for us, and this part could be anything you named it in the process of installation. So just for now, we want to go to the Firefox, which is at the top of this list of the programs. You want to go to the Firefox and click on this. It will open up, I believe automatically it will open up the Kali Linux page, which we need in this case in order to take some of the things it provides us right here. So just 1 second, it says welcome to Firefox, and here we can see as the most visited sites, even though we haven't visited anything yet, it basically just says Fancy Security, Kali Linux, Kali Docs, Kali Tools, and exploit /db. We basically right now want to go to the Kali Docs, and there just 1 second, it is a little bit slow. It should load up any moment. It might be just taking a lot of time because this is first time opening Firefox on this virtual machine. There it is, it opened it. Now, once it loaded this page, as I said, you want to go to Kali Docs and you want to scroll down. You want to find sorry for my voice, it's kind of rough right now, I was ill. But basically you want to find the sources.list repositories. It should be anywhere here. Here it is, Kali sources.list repositories. It should be named same for you, and just click here on that. It will lead us to this page where we want to copy the Kali rolling repository. Or basically the first thing that here it is, regular repositories. It says here on a standard clean install of Kali Linux, you should have the following entry present in etc apt sources.list. Now we will copy this just in case. We don't have it, but we probably do, but just in case we will copy it. You can close this page now. And now we want to use our terminal for the first time. So just follow up with these commands. You do not need to wonder at the moment what they do. Just type in the same as I do and you should be good to go. We want to go to the etc apt sources.list. Oh, pardon me. Just go cd etc apt, and as you can see we changed our directory to etc apt, and we want to open sources.list. So just type in nano sources.list, click enter, and it should open up this page. Now it should look similar as mine does, and basically these are just a bunch of Linux repositories from where you will do your updates of the system. All of these which have hash before them are not being used while you're updating the system. So if we delete this hash, something that was after the hash will be used in the updating section, but currently we only want this here. So if you do not have this, just copy paste the thing that we copied from the website, the repository, and just click here, right click, paste, and it will basically copy the same thing right here. You didn't need to do that because it was already there, but in case it wasn't there, you want to copy and paste it right here. Or basically, anyway, you can copy it at the top or at the bottom, because all of these other with hash will not be used. So we want to save this file, and it says right here to write out, which means to save. We want to press ctrl+O. It will ask us file name to write, sources.list, just click here, enter. And in order to close this, click ctrl+Y or Z, depending on your keyboard. So once again, we want to go nano sources.list. This is just me recapturing what just happened. You copy and paste this right here without the hash. So this is the thing that we copied from the website. You press ctrl+O to save, enter, and then ctrl plus Y or Z. There we go. So now that you did that, you want to go with apt update command. This will update our apt, which will basically just, if in case we change something in the sources.list, it will update that. But since we didn't, we only just copy and pasted the thing that was already there. We do not need to do this, but we will do it just in case. So click here on apt update, and it will connect to the Kali download, or basically any site that you have linked in the sources.list file, and it will check for any updates there. Since we only have one repository listed there, it only took it from there, but there are currently no new updates, only upgrades that we will do at the end of this tutorial. So right now what you want to do is go type in this command. First off, if you want to clear the screen and make it a little bit more pretty, just type in clear, and it will clear everything from here. So now that what we want to do is type in apt install Linux headers $, open a parenthesis, uname, and then R. So we want to type in this command, which in most cases won't work right now. As you can see, it will give us some of the errors, unable to locate package Linux headers. This Linux headers, it is unable to locate it. So now what we want to do, first of all, to check what your Linux header version is, you can type it uname/R. Just type in that, and it will give us our current headers version, which is 4.18.0. Now what we want to do is basically, in order to find the new Linux headers version, we want to type apt install Linux headers, and then at the end we want to type in this star sign. I'm not really sure how it's called in English, but it's basically on Shift 8 for me. It's probably for you as well. Just click here enter, and it will give us a bunch of these options which we do not want to install. So it will says, do you want to continue? We want to press here no. We just wanted to check here for the Linux headers current version, which is usually going to be the first one, but basically you're just searching something that looks like this. And we can see right here, since our version was 4.18.0, the current and new version one is 4.19.0. So we just need to copy this part of the section. So 4.19.0, Kali 1, AMD 64, just copy it. And now that we copy that, we can clear the screen again and type in this command, apt install Linux image, and here now we paste the thing that we copied, which is our new version, which is 4.19.0 Kali 1 AMD 64. Now in the time of you watching this, it might not be this version, so don't just type in what I typed here. Follow the process and just copy the current version, the newer version, and use it in this command. So apt install Linux image 4.19.0, we just click here yes, and it will basically download the new version of Linux headers. Now after this process, which will take, I believe, a few minutes, maybe even less, we want to reboot the system. So I'll catch up when this finishes. Now we can see that it finished the installation of Linux headers. So first thing we want to do after that is reboot our machine. Just type in reboot and it will restart your Kali Linux machine. We want to just click X on this so it doesn't bother us. And now we wait for the machine to boot up, and a few more commands right after that, and we are ready to go. After the installation of full screen mode, I will be showing you some of the basic commands in the Linux terminal, which you need to know in order to continue with the learning of ethical hacking. those are just some of the basics you must know in order to get yourself used to the Linux operating system and in order to run some of the programs. So it is essential for you to learn them. There are like thousands and thousands of commands. You do not need to know all of them, just like 20 basic commands, and all of the others you can search on the internet for your own needs. So here it put it up into our login screen. So once again we type in root as username and password, which is 1234 for me. And right now we want to install the Linux headers. We downloaded them last time, the image version of our headers version, and now we want to install the current Linux headers from the terminal. So just go on the terminal. If you do not have it for some reason right here, you can open it with right click on the desktop. Oops, settings, let me just check why there isn't an open terminal option. There should be. Well, for some reason there isn't. So you can just go to the files, for example, and right click on anywhere, so basically anywhere, and open in terminal. And it will open up the terminal. So now we want to run this command, which is apt install. One second, it's not typing for me for some reason. Oh, here we go. So apt install Linux headers $, and parentheses open, uname -r. Now, basically, what this means, in case you're wondering, the $, means that after this minus sign, it will just put the output of this command. So let's delete this. As I showed you before, the output of uname -r command will be our current Linux headers version, which was before 4.18.0, but since we updated it, it should be 4.19.0. As we can see, we successfully updated it last time. So now, when we run this command, which I typed a few seconds ago, apt install Linux headers $, parentheses open, I can type uname -r, it will just paste this, it will just paste the output of uname -r instead of the $, uname -r. So just click here enter on this command. It will ask you, do you want to continue? We want to click here Y, just type here Y for yes, no, N for no. We want to continue, and it will install our Linux headers, newer version. Now, I'm not sure how long this will take. It could take a few seconds or a few minutes. I will be back when it is over. Now, as we can see, this has finished, so it basically took around 1 to 2 minutes. The next thing we want to go is on the devices in the upper left corner, fifth from the start, so devices, and we want to go insert guest additions image. It will ask us a question if we want to automatically start it. Intended to be run. We do not want to automatically start it since it won't work. Now we want to run this command: change directory, pardon me, /media /cd-rom. Once you type that, you will go to this directory, which is /media /cd-rom, and here if you type ls, which is listing all the files in that directory, it will give us a bunch of files. In most we are not even interested, so we are only interested in this file, VirtualBox Linux editions.run. Now what we want to do is change the mode of this VirtualBox Linux editions.run. If it is not already an executable for you, you just type in this command, which is basically this chmode stands for change mode, plus X stands for making it an executable, and we want to type the name of the file. You can type it like me, or you can just copy and paste it. Here I will show you. Copy, paste, and it will change the mode. Now it will say that changing permissions is read-only file system. It doesn't matter for now. It might work for you, it might not work for you. Basically it just doesn't matter since it is already an executable for me. So you just type in the next command, which is the last command, and we just copy paste the same thing. So sh dot slash and then the name of the file, and you just run this and it should install the VirtualBox guest editions, which will hopefully make our machine full screen. This shouldn't take a lot of time, I believe. We will see. And after the installation of this, our machine should be full screen. Welcome back, everyone. Basically my virtual machine crashed for some reason, not really sure why. After the last command has finished, which was sh./vbox linux editions.run, it crashed after that, so I just restarted the machine and basically now it is full screen. So in case your crashes as well, just try rebooting the machine and it should go full screen. Right now if I type in root and test 1 2 3 4, you can see that the machine is right now going full screen. There is not the white space around the virtual machine. It is full screen, and if you want to remove the lower and upper part as well, you can just go on view and go full screen mode. And right now our machine is full screen. We can open a terminal, we can enlarge it, and now we have a platform to work on. So basically that is that from this tutorial. If you had any problems or any errors, which are common in installing VirtualBox guest editions, there are lots of errors that occur from time to time, just copy the error and paste it in Google and most likely you will find a solution to the problem, which will probably be just a simple command or something. Now in my case I didn't really have any error except for my virtual machine crashing, but we got the full screen and we are set to go. Now in the next lecture we will cover some of the basic commands that you will almost always use from now on. So I hope I see you there, and take care. Bye.